This is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today's podcast is brought to you by Water and Wellness. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit Water and Wellness at their offices, and I can tell you that as far as you and I are concerned and our health is concerned, this is one of the most important places that you can go to find water that is purified and products that will help your longevity and your overall health. Visit waterandwellness.com to learn how you can take control of your drinking water and learn about those natural additives to optimize your health and longevity. Contact Stacy at 877-296-6880. Use the Ageless code and you'll get a 20% discount on all your products.
My love for you is immeasurable. My respect for you immense. You're ageless, timeless, lace and fineness, your beauty and elegance.
Welcome, everyone. This is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless, coming to you today from Santa Barbara, California. And my guest is Sir John Shin, who was, this is our part two. We were together about a year ago on our podcast and had such an amazing time together, so much fun and so much to talk about that we decided that we would do it too. So it took us a year, but here we are again. And welcome, John. We're so happy to have you back.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here with you.
And, you know, shocked me today because last time he had all his clean shaven and today he's sporting a beard. But he just told me that he's going to shave it off by Christmas per his other half, Arlene. So, and I said to him, well, John, I do prefer you with the clean shaven, but you do look very distinguished. So welcome back. And so, John, we've had quite a year since we were last together. And maybe just give us a quick summary of how you have managed in this past year. How are you a different person today than you were a year ago?
Well, yeah, absolutely. 2020 has been a year. I think most people, in December or the final quarter of 2019, they were putting their plans together for 2020. And many were saying this was going to be the best year ever. They were ready to conquer their future. And we got into the first quarter of 2020 and things were doing very well, January and February. And I think this COVID-19 shocked the world. I think many of us are in our lives, this was probably the first time that anyone has ever, we've seen movies, horror movies, maybe sci-fi, where we talk about pandemics and viral outbreaks, but we never thought we would actually experience it in real life, and here we are. But, Michelle, I'll tell you what, despite COVID, shockingly, I would say that most of my colleagues and myself, our business is up. Our business right now is up 300% over last year at the same time. And this is an interesting anomaly, and so we're thrilled to be where we are from a business standpoint. We are deeply saddened to see, how some people have been affected by COVID and just the lockdowns in many different parts of the state. But, we wish everybody the best. But let me just tell you, from a business standpoint, it's been phenomenal.
Well, I was thinking about this morning when I was out on my hike and I was going to say this to you, that you probably, your company, and we should say this to our viewers, that your company is called Axianta, right? Axianta, which we did say we're going to talk about the derivation of that on this podcast, because I remember we didn't get to it last time. But anyway, Axianta is a financial services company that John and his wife started in 1994, I think, and they built this to 12 countries, is it, John?
So we're in so the countries is our nonprofit organization, but the financial company now, we're in pretty much all 50 states now here in the United States. We have a couple offices up in Canada. So
that's right. Well, and about 8,000 people working, most independent contractors, but you do have 8,000 people under your umbrella, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So what I was thinking on my hike was, like Amazon, I mean, people in this time are not wanting to go to stores, so they're going to order Amazon. That's why Jeff Bezos is, worth about 7 times more than he was. And um, kudos to him. I think it's great. And I was thinking the same thing about you, because at these times, people are even more conscious of managing their financial portfolio, and probably with a lot less, although the stock market seems to have gone up and down, but up recently. So how, just say directly, do people now come to you with less money but more desire to make that money go further because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, great question, Michelle. What's interesting today is, we were wondering, with all these layoffs and furloughs and, people being furloughed indefinitely, it's interesting that it's quite the opposite. As I said earlier, it's an interesting anomaly. And I think that a lot of people are starting to see more savings because they don't have to pay for daycare, right? They're not spending money on gas and driving around. Many people should by now have reached out to their auto insurance companies, because a lot of these auto insurance companies have had a rate reduction, and they've discounted people's auto insurance policies, and including their homeowners. So if you call up your insurance company, they would actually reduce it by 10 or 20% your monthly premium. So there's been savings there. And so there's been a lot, people have been eating out less, obviously, and they're eating better and they're feeling better because they're cooking at home now. And so, they're saving that money from eating out. So I think that a lot of people have been saving money with the pandemic, and they've wanted to take that extra cash savings and invest it. So that's been really exciting to see that people, instead of going and blowing that money and buying things they don't necessarily need, they may want it, but they don't really need it, and they're actually saving that money. So it's great to see that people are learning to save.
What about the unemployment issue, though? The people who have lost their jobs and are basically living off of their savings. How are you helping people like that, which I assume you do have a certain cohort that is not as well off, and particularly more defined in these days, that would be more frequently happening. So how do you help those people?
So, you're absolutely right. The thing is, in life, we have to know how to be, I try to be sensitive to this, right? But I try to tell everybody that we can't play the blame game, right? We can't blame our parents for the circumstances we're in, right? We can't, blame our employers or the business owners for where we're at. And so I understand there's a lot of people who've lost their jobs, but at this point, what they need to do is quickly, pivot and look at alternative ways of making money. So for instance, I had a young girl who was working, and her annual salary was like $60,000 a year. So she attended one of our events, a podcast very similar to what we're doing right now. She was listening to me speak, and she said, I basically said to the world that every single one of us are wired for success, but we're programmed to fail. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to preach to everybody. That's not my intention. But what I am saying is, look, the chances of you being born is 1 out of 6 trillion. So the probability of you being born 1 out of 6 trillion means that you are a miracle baby, and there's a lot of people that don't have to understand and recognize that you're wired for success, but you're sitting there and you're holding on to a job, right? And you're holding on to something. It reminds me of a story about these monkeys, right, in Africa. And these poachers, these hunters were hunting these small, beautiful, monkeys. And so what they did is they set up traps. And what they did is they took these coconuts, they drilled a little hole out of it and stuffed it inside with a bunch of peanuts. So what happened is they sat there, they strapped down the coconut, and they waited for this monkey to come by. And the monkey found the peanuts, stuck the hand inside there, right? And because your hand goes in like this, and they grabbed the peanuts, and then they tried to pull their hand out, but they couldn't take the hand out because the hole was too big or too small now, and the hand was too big. And so at that moment, they're holding on to their peanuts, and these poachers came and basically caught them. And unfortunately, the monkey didn't survive. Well, had the monkey let go, right, then the monkey would have survived, but they're holding on to those peanuts. And I see that happen today where so many people are holding on to their jobs, right? Or those that lost a job, they're still holding on to that employee mentality. And so I encourage people to explore other alternatives to increase their cash flow. Don't be bitter, but get better. And come on to shows like what you're hosting right now and go and seek out some counsel, right? I try to be sensitive here to everybody, but look, I say that losers seek opinions and world-class champions seek counsel. So go and find counsel, not opinions. Everybody's got an opinion, right? But go and seek counsel. So this girl comes on one of our podcast shows, and she calls me up afterwards and says, do you think that someone like me can become an entrepreneur? And so I said, absolutely. I said, why wouldn't you be able to? She says, well, I got no business background. I got none. I said, well, all you need is a coach and a mentor. And she says, well, that's why I'm calling you. And I said, great. Well, let's start a business together. Right. And I said, so let's start off this way. Tell me, John Maxwell, another great author, said that you have to love what you do and do what you love.
Right.
And she says, so tell me what you love to do. Like, you would do it 7 days a week, nonstop, whether you got paid or you didn't get paid. It's like an NBA basketball player that just loves and they're passionate about basketball, right? Whether they got paid millions of dollars or they would play basketball. What would be that thing that you love to do? She goes, wow, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. And I said, okay, well, so let's have that discussion. I go, tell me what you love to do. And a few minutes later, she goes, wow, I like taking baths. And I said, what? And she says, I like taking baths. I go, a bath. Okay. And she goes, don't you take baths? And I said, not really. I'm a shower kind of guy. I'm a busy guy. I just get it up. I shower in the morning and off my day starts. I go, so tell me about the bath process. Like, what do you love about taking a bath? She says, I love using my bath bombs. And I go, whoa, stop right there. I go, what is a bath bomb? She says, you don't know what a bath bomb is? I said, no, I don't know what a bath bomb is. What is it? She says, well, it's like a stone, and it's made out of salt. You drop it in the water and it sizzles and it kind of fizzles out, but it's got a scent and all that. And I go, oh, you mean like an Alka-Seltzer? She goes, yeah, something like that. And I said, great. I go, so anyway, can I share my screen with you real fast? Can I do that for just a second? Is that possible? Okay, let me see if I could share my screen. Make me a co-host or co-host? Nope, they not. Can someone in the background make me a co-host or a host?
I don't know, Tony.
Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can do that.
Great, thanks, Tony. All right, so check this out. So you know what we did? I said, that is your business. We are going to start a bath and body business for you. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we started this website for her. We created the online website. And I just want to show you kind of demo so that everyone else can see it. Here it is. No, they didn't have it on. Anyway, we created this website for her, and I found her a manufacturer. We created the website, and then we started selling bath bombs and oils and things like that. And we created the website for her, and next thing you know, this year her business has done, as of our last quarter, third quarter, she's done over $2 million in online e-commerce sales. So yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean, here's a girl.
Where did she, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but where did she get the capital to do the startup?
So
Were
that's
you
where
her angel as well?
I was, yeah. So I basically said, look, I mean, I'm open to putting up a little bit of capital and get you started. And then what we'll do is we'll take the profits and we'll reinvest it back into your business, right? And so we were able to do that for her. So, you know, now I also own a little piece of her company, right? And but you know what? She's making the majority of it. It's better than her $60,000 a year, but she didn't play the victim card, right? She said, I got to do something. And that's the beauty of our country, is that you can actually, everyone can start a business, you know,
Right.
and you just got to find the right coach and a mentor to guide you and support you and have belief and faith in you. So
And a burning desire, as Napoleon Hill would say, right?
that's right. That is
That
key.
that's the first step, and that's what you had, you and Arlene.
That's
And you
right.
told us about that the last time you were on, about how you know neither one of you had financial background, and yet you both saw a need. That's where all businesses start, right? You
That's
have to
right.
identify who is your customer and what are their wants and needs, and you guys saw that in a time when you were, you know, 1994, you know, you were just a little embryo and with an idea. And so you did what you just told us, the story about what you did for this wonderful woman. I mean, she's what a champion, what a rock star, that she could first, she found you. That was her first great step, right? She found a coach or a mentor and you were receptive. And so she had her angel, and then you helped her step by step, because she never would have known how to do all those steps if it hadn't been for your coaching. So I think this is a really important subject we're talking about for everyone who's listening, because it is, as you know, with Ageless and Timeless, we feature a lot of entrepreneurs like John, probably because I'm one myself, and I had to go through many of the exact same obstacles and hurdles, but also the opportunities and the success. So, you know, it's, life is not without challenge and not without obstacles that you have to overcome, but it's all about your tenacity, right? Your ability to see the end result, the outcome. So, you know, John, before I forget, I wanted to make sure our viewers know that since you and I were together last, you've been knighted. And
Yes.
why don't you tell us a little more about that? I hope am I supposed to address you as Sir John Shin now? But you and Arlene were really honored by was it and Queen of Spain? Was that?
Yes. And, yeah. And Prince Raphael of the House of Cappadocia.
Okay. Where is that?
In Spain also. Yeah. Spain.
Oh, in Spain.
Yeah.
Tell us how this came about, and why did they select you, and what are your responsibilities now that you have these titles?
You know, it's interesting. Ever since I was a little kid, Michelle, I've always been into medieval movies, you know, and knights, you know, protector of the realm and serving the king, and, you know, musketeers, all for one for all. You know, there was a movie called First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery years ago. So ever since I was a kid, I've always been in you know, really fascinated with, you know, some of that world of knighthood. And so I went to an event, I met a man, and, you know, the guy who's hosting the party basically was introducing everybody and started saying, hey, by the way, John, this is Duke, this is John Shin, and there was like a group of us. And I was like, hey, how you guys doing? I basically like fist bumped every single person, right? You know, I'm like, hey. And so here I am, I'm fist bumping this guy. And I thought his name was Duke. Excuse me. And so, you know,
I know what you tell us, but this is so funny.
Yeah, and so we're sitting there, and then the host of the party then says, "Hello, everybody. You know, welcome to our party. We got some very distinguished guests here tonight. We'd love to introduce you guys to them." And then they said, "You know, we do have royalty in the house," and you know, they started going. I was like, "Oh, royalty! Like I'm going to meet royalty." And so please welcome Duke, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, oh my God. That's the Duke that I just fist bumped, right? I mean, I couldn't even. I mean, it's one thing to like shake your hands and do it respectfully with both hands and being respectful, and I fist bumped.
Right.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I went up to him afterwards. I apologized. I said, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful and fist bumped you. And you know what he said? He goes, I've never fist bumped anybody. I've seen people do it. But honestly, I really enjoyed just fist bumping you that way. That was fascinating. So we swapped emails and business cards, and we got connected on Facebook. And then, you know, I just, that was that. We just stayed connected. And, you know, we do a lot of humanitarian work around the world with our charities and other charities. And we want to help wherever we can. And, you know, we may not be able to change the whole world, but we can actually help one person at a time. And so we're doing work. We've done that now in 12 different countries. We've adopted and provided food, shelter, and medical and education and just the bare necessities for thousands of children and women around the world. So we started doing stuff with different organizations like UNICEF and CARE. And I get this call, and they said, I don't know if anybody even remembers in the old days, we used to get emergency breakthrough calls where, you know, you're talking to somebody and you hear this beep, beep, you know, and you're like, and an operator, I don't even know if anybody knows what an operator is, but an operator would chime in and said, hello, this is Brenda, operator, whatever. I have an emergency breakthrough. And you're like, okay. And then you would talk to this other person.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if you even remember those days, but you know, today we got call waiting and everything else. Well, it was like that. It reminded me of that, where a little beep kind of happened. I was like, wait a second, what's going on? And I hear this operator kind of like chime in. And I started talking to this person, and they said that the Prince is going to be on now. And I'm like, Prince? And so next thing I know, I'm talking to them, and basically they said, you know, because of all your humanitarian work and the things that you're doing here internationally and domestically, we would like to knight you into the Royal Order. And
Wow.
I started chuckling, and I said, am I being punked right now? This is a joke, right? Like I said, am I going to get a sword also? And they said, well, yes, you are going to get a sword. And I was like, wait, no, this can't be happening right now, you know? And literally a few months later, we were invited. There was a big event in Beverly Hills, and the Prince was going to be in here. We had dukes and duchesses and all these royalty who attended the event, and that's where my wife and I got knighted. And so since that time, you know, with big titles comes big responsibility, and we've been doing our intentions were to do a lot of stuff around the world. And so, you know, that's what our new, you know, calling is too, is just taking a different role at the royal level. And so we also became members of the royal court. So wherever the royal family goes, we would travel with them to different events. If the king, queen, prince, anybody who can't go, then we would go on their behalf as members of the royal court.
Well, so you have to go back and thank that friend that made you come to Nicaragua how many years ago and show you the horrible conditions that got you on the track of being a philanthropist. Remember, you shared that with us, that you didn't even know what philanthropy was, and you were so busy building your empire, and then you came to that point in life where, you know, material things didn't mean as much anymore, and your friend just happened to call you, and you went there personally, and that was the beginning of your philanthropic journey, correct?
You're absolutely right. You know, I think, God, what's the word I want to use? I think we're sheltered. We live in our own bubble, you know, here in the United States. And there's a lot of people going through some tough times. They think they're living terrible lives until you actually go to some of these underdeveloped, or I should say now, I should be PC'd, politically corrected, but these developing countries, and see the conditions that they have and the conditions they live in, the resources that they don't have. We are living in luxury today, you know? You know, I've had some friends who have actually said, John, you know, I got to go. I have a laundry mat. I got to put quarters in my laundry or my credit card in my laundry. And I said, well, that you should be blessed you have a laundry machine. You know, in Nicaragua and other countries, they don't even have laundry mats. They got to go down to the river to do their laundry. So, you know, however bad we have it, it's better than what most people have around the world. So,
right, right. Well, and so now your charity, like you said, you're doing joint ventures, but at the last time we spoke, I think you had that 200 number stuck in my head. And I guess I was thinking that was the Oxianta offices, but no, it was 200 places around the world, right, where you have done work and put schools up and brought food and supplies in. Is that exactly what you're doing now? Continuing to do?
yeah. So we have a little over 200 offices, financial offices around the country, and we have 12 countries that we've gone into, and we set up what we call child prosperity centers, which is a big fancy word for orphanages, right? And so in a lot of these countries, you know, the mothers are only 15 years of age, you know, 14, 15, 16 years old, and they can't possibly raise these kids on their own. They just don't have the resources to do it. So they will abort these babies. They will, put them up for not even adoption. They just give birth to them and they drop them off somewhere. And then, you know, they grow up without any parents. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but we need to be able to provide medical clinics where these mothers can give birth. A lot of these mothers can't even give birth without the proper medical technology and resources, you know. So we want to, you know, provide that at least the opportunity to give birth to a baby, you know. And then we want to put systems in place where they could give the baby up for adoptions, you know, and put them in a home, and rather than just wrapping them up in a blanket and dropping them off at a particular center. So we want to put all these things in places so there is opportunities for these babies to have a chance.
That is so beautiful, John. So let's go back to the commercial side for a moment, because last time we were together, we said we were going to have you tell us the derivation of Oxianta. I think you said it was Greek.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And, you know, because I'm fascinated by derivations of words. So tell us how what Oxianta means and how you've exemplified the meaning in real practical life terms.
You know, so a lot of people, the name or your brand, you know, is so important that, you know, what do we call our company? We call it, you know, First Financial or West Coast Financial. And, you know, that doesn't really have a big, you know, meaning to who you are as an organization. So we went to the Greek system and picked Greek vocabulary words because the Greek society was really the first society who embraced democracy. So we went with the Greek words, and one of the words was Oxia, which means strong and powerful, guardian. And they would say that the Greek gods were Oxia. And so then the suffix enta, nta, means to love and to care and to serve. So we just basically took those two words, combined them together, and came up with the word Oxianta. And so some people say, is it Axianta? That would be like potato or potato, you know. So, it's Oxianta, and we hired a numerologist also to take the words and the alphabet, the letters, and let us know, you know, what it means. And that person came back and told us that the word Oxianta means power. So it came back as power. Oh. Really interesting, the coincidence there. So financial, because we are in the financial industry, and, you know, I don't want to treat any of my colleagues as employees. You know, even my staff, I hate referring to them as my employees. I like to refer to them as my partners, my team, you know, yeah. And even on my business card, I even hate using titles. You know, I know a lot of people like titles. They have titleitis. But I next to my name or under my name, it has nothing. It doesn't say president, CEO, founder. It just has my name. because I want to see, I'm a team player just like everybody else is in my company. We all have a common goal and a common target.
I love that. Well, I remember last time we talked quite a bit about Napoleon Hill and the influence that he had on you and Arlene very early in your life, and how you've exemplified through Oxianta and all your other activities, the principles, the 13 principles that are in the classic book called Think and Grow Rich. Why don't you give us just a brief summary? Because I want our viewers to understand how the concepts can actually become reality with people like you. So give us a quick synopsis of how those 13 principles have played a role in your life and where you are, bringing you to where you are today.
Sure. So, Arlene and I actually came across that book in 1995. In the early 90s, when we started our entrepreneurial journey in 1991, we did not have the tools that people have today. So today, people have podcasts, they've got YouTube, they have Amazon, there's virtual events, podcasts like yours. I mean, there's so many wonderful places and platforms that people can get content. We didn't even have internet in the early 1990s, right? 90, 91, 2, 3. We didn't have Google. All we had was a bookstore, a library, and people we can go and seek advice from. But even the people that were successful were very reluctant to share any content with you, right? They're like, why would I tell you how to become successful so that you can compete with me? Not a chance. So he said, what's the secret? How do I get started like you did? No one wanted to share that. So it was really you going to a bookstore, picking up books, and going to a library, which is what Arlene and I did. We went to a library. Some of the younger viewers here, we went and got microfiche. I don't know if you guys even know what that is, but we went and got microfiche, did all this data study. So we went to the bookstore. We saw this book that said Think and Grow Rich. We get the book, and we come home and we began reading it. When we read it, it's interesting that she got something out of that book that I didn't get, right? So every chapter had a different takeaway for different people. So what she read was different, what I got was different, and we could not put that book down. We loved the book. We began reading it, and we started to embrace the principles. We use the book as our employee handbook, if you would, right? And that's the book we gave everybody. We gave the book away to our friends and family and Christmas holiday presents. And who would have thought that when we read that book that, 25 years later, that we, two young kids who read it, would actually have an opportunity to approach the Napoleon Hill Foundation and get the rights from them to make a movie based on the original book. So it's just mind blowing, and even till this day, I still read the book. I have a different version of Napoleon Hill's book. I don't even have the cover here, but, he's got something here called Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success. And I was reading this yesterday, I'm still engulfed into this book. And I know a lot of the people today don't have time to read books. They don't have the patience to read books, or they don't like the print to read, They say that I start to fall asleep, when I read a book. Well, it's okay, because now that we have the rights we made the movie. And that's another crazy thing, right, Michelle? Because I've never made a movie my entire life. Who would have ever thought that I would go to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and get the rights with my team, and we had to make a movie. And that's why it's so important. Napoleon Hill talks about having a mastermind, right? Forming a mastermind, getting the people that know what you don't know around you. It's a great story of the Henry Ford story in the book, Think and Grow Rich. So we got a producer, we got a writer, we got a costume person, we got music developers and editors. And we finally put the movie together in 2016 and 17, and the movie came out in 2018. And then it just went viral. We went into all the theaters, AMC, Edwards. We went to Amazon Prime. We did all the digital. Now we're worldwide. We've got international. We've dubbed it in multiple languages. So now we're in Germany, Spain, Portugal. I mean, it's just we're I think we're like 14 countries now. So after we made the movie, I went back to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and asked them if I can get the rights to make to write a modern day version of the book, and we did that. And so that book right here is called How Rich Asians Think and Grow Rich, which is a Napoleon Hill Foundation publication. It is a Think and Grow Rich publication. So very proud of this and the movie. And one thing that, if people get to watch your podcast, we're doing something special for everybody. We were supposed to be in all the Walmarts, Michelle, in March of this year. So
I remember you telling us that when we had our podcast, and I was thinking about that with the pandemic. So what happened with Walmart?
Yeah, so they basically said that they're going to pull any new movie releases this year and wait till next year in 2021 to release all new movies. Well, my, only criticism with that was, here is a book that was written during the Great Depression, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And
Right.
Napoleon, interviewed some of the greatest minds to share with people that were really going through some adversities during the Great Depression, whether it's financial, whether it was emotional, whether it was mental, whether it was spiritual. They were having breakdowns. Well, here we are, where the world is suffering from a pandemic, and we've got a movie that we can share that with people, and they can watch this in the comfort of their own house, right in front of their computer or big screen TV. So I said, can I get the rights back? And we started showing people for free this movie. And we started that in March. And just so you know, our last screening is going to be on December 11th. So literally 8 days from now, about a week from now, on Friday night at 6:30 p.m., we are going to be showing for the last time in 2020 the Think and Grow Rich Legacy movie. And all they need to do is register at tgrlegacymovie.com. So if they go to tgrlegacymovie.com, they can just click the little link. It'll send them an email with the link to watch the movie at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Oh, I'm so glad you're telling me. That means Tony, our CEO, who's doing the production today, I think he is anyway, he needs to know this so that we can get this podcast up and going. We always edit, after our interview, but then we put it on. Usually it takes a couple of weeks, but this one we're going to make it happen faster because I want our viewers to know about this. This is amazing. So I just made a note of it for myself. So just go online, get to tgr.legacy.
No, just all one word, tgrlegacymovie.com.
Movie.com. Okay, so everybody hear that, tgrlegacymovie.com, December 11th, and that's Pacific time?
6:30 p.m. Pacific time. We'll do a quick, 5-10 minute welcome to everybody, and then we'll show the movie, and then afterwards I have the director of the movie joining me so we can do some Q&A. But we've been doing this every week, and people have loved it. Friday night, they get their family, their children, and the people who watched it once already before didn't know what to expect. They're like, what is this, And they loved it so much, they kind of had a party, a viewing party with all their friends, and they set up a big screen in their backyard, one of those blow-up screens, and they all social distance, and they wore their masks, and they watched it, and then after they watched it, they had open discussions about it. And now people are starting their own kind of Think and Grow Rich, groups to have discussions about the content of the book. But, as you alluded to, there are so many amazing things in the book. There are the principles, the 13 principles, which is nice to know what they are. But the question is, how do you apply those principles? And some of the stories that Napoleon Hill shares with people, it's so important, to understand how they handled these adversities during their time,
And it was Andrew Carnegie that actually gave him the opportunity that has now resulted in what we're talking about right now, which is a classic. I think it sold over 80 million copies, is what I read one place. Now I'm sure it's even more with your new version, with your update and with your movie. So, you know,
Yes.
that's driving more people to buy the book, right? Or to at least get it on Audible or on Kindle.
Yes. So the book is now crossed over 200 million copies, and it's
200.
making 200
Wow.
million around the world. It's influenced over 1.5 billion people on this planet, and
Wow.
and there's only 5 books, Michelle, since 1937 that has ever sold over 100 million copies. So since
Wow.
1937, you've got Lord of the Rings, you have
Yeah.
Harry Potter, you've got the Twilight Saga or Twilight Trilogy, the Bible, and Think and Grow Rich. That's it. There's only 5 books on this planet since 1937.
So, of all the principles that are the 13 that are in the book, what is there any one that you feature more deliberately in your movie production that you think is maybe just edges out the rest in terms of its value, validity, and value to people?
Well, I don't want to give away any parts of the movie because I want them to watch it, you know, and they'll get their
Okay.
takeaways in there. But for me, I would say, you know, they're all amazing, right? All 13 principles are amazing. But as you alluded to earlier, people do have to have a burning desire. You know, that is the starting point of all achievement. That is first and foremost. I think another one that really strikes me is the principle of making a decision, to decide, you know, what you want. You know, the word decide itself, the word de is a root word that comes from to do, and the word side, CIDE,
Yeah.
means to kill, right? You know, that's why you have pesticide, homicide,
Right.
you know. So it's do or die. I say if you're going to kill your excuses, right? It's time for you to kill all those excuses that you've been using, your airtight alibis that justify why you are where you're at. So I would say make a decision, do or die, and stick with it, you know, and then act on those decisions, you know, ACT, to act on whatever it is. And the word act for me is also an acronym. And I may have shared this with you last time, but the word act, ACT, whatever dreams you have. And I don't know what it is. Maybe you want to build your own nonprofit organization. You want to become an author. You want to be a speaker. You want to become a hip hop, rapping, you know, country music singer, whatever it is. You know, you got these wonderful dreams. And some people don't even have dreams, Michelle, right? You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said one time, he says that most people die at the age of 25. We just don't bury them until they're 80, right? So because they've given up on their dreams, you know, and they don't have any dreams for that matter. So whatever those dreams are, I hope that our show today, our discussion, as it reaches out to all of you and you're watching this, that turn on that dream machine again, okay? Know what it is that you want and then act on it, ACT. And the word act, ACT, stands for take appropriate action. Whatever it is that you want, make sure that you take appropriate action. The letter C stands for consistency, to be consistent with whatever it is that your actions are. And then finally, you mentioned this earlier, the letter T stands for tenacity, to be tenacious. And if you act on your dreams, then you will reach your dreams.
And the last time you also talked to us about believe as an acronym. Would you just repeat that one again? Because I thought that was pretty perceptive and very helpful, because I think you mentioned believe and fear. So let's talk about those two for a moment and what they stand for in your acronym dictionary.
Yeah, I'm a big acronym guy. I love acronym because it makes me remember things a lot easier, you know. So the word fear, I know that, you know, Tony Robbins, another amazing individual, says that fear is false evidence that appears real, right? False evidence that appears real, which is, it's a great acronym. But for me, I think fear stands for feeling excited and ready, right? So I'm excited right now. I'm ready 2021, I think, is even going to be bigger and grander and more epic than 2020. And I hope that everybody has fear, where they're feeling excited and ready. Okay. And then, of course, the word believe is an acronym. And, one of the questions I get from a lot of people is that you can't grow an organization if you don't have leaders in your organization, leaders. So you got to build leaders, and if you build leaders, your teams will come, right? If you build leaders, then it makes your life a lot easier. So I do get a lot of credit for the things that I've done in my life, our success, but I hate taking all the credit, because I couldn't have done it without our team, the leadership, and the leadership we've developed over the last 30 years. And so that question is, how do you develop leaders, is to believe in your people, to believe in your leadership team that you're developing. Because, the fact is that most people don't have anybody believing in themselves. You would think that parents would believe in their children. And I've actually had parents say things to me like, "Oh, my kids are so dumb. Oh, they're so useless. Oh, they're," and I'm hearing this from the parents, and I'm like, how could you say it? I said, I hope you don't say that out loud for your kids to hear. And then they're like proud of it. Oh, no, I let them know that they're just dumb. And when you say things like that to your own kids, what do you think you're instilling in them, right? So the word believe, wow, that's a whole talk in itself. But the acronym, just real quickly, the letter B is to believe in that person, whether it's your children, your associates, the people you work with. B is to believe. Okay. I got a little thing that just popped up here. It says that we got like 3 minutes now. Just FYI, I don't know if you saw that.
I just did. It's always it always comes too soon, particularly with you, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go ahead. You can finish.
I can't believe we've already gone to almost an hour here with everybody. But just real quickly. So B stands for to have belief in your people, right? Your husband, children, coworkers, everybody. E is to emphasize. One of the things you want to do is emphasize the strengths of your people, right? The letter L means to list. And you want to make sure that you list all the past successes. People forget all the things that they've actually done in the past, right? So list all their things that they've actually done in their life. Let's see. I means to instill. What I want to do is instill confidence, instill faith, which is one of the Napoleon Hill principles, is to have faith. Let's see. E is to
emphasize.
Yeah, we could say, well, no, not emphasize, experience. Share your experiences with your people. So, and that's really what I'm doing now with you, Michelle, and our audience and your audience, is to share my 30 years and all the challenges and adversities I've had. As I've been walking on the minefield of business, I've hit a lot of mines, and I'd like to share with everybody the minefields that they can avoid, right? And so they don't have to spend 30 years to get to where I'm at. So experience is important. Let's see. V is visualize. To visualize their future, what it looks like, right? And then finally is to set some expectations and set high expectations, So that's one of the things I do with my own kids right now, is I have high expectations of my kids. And it's interesting that the higher the expectation I set for my kids, they raise to the level of what my expectation is. So it's interesting how expectation is so key in developing leadership.
Well, what I would say in closing, Sir John, is that I can understand why you become a motivational speaker, first of all, and that's a whole other area that we didn't touch on today, that is become one of your passions that you never thought you could do. So I think this concept of taking on risk, which is really the entrepreneur DNA that is so evident here, that you'll do anything the first time that you think has got some validity for you, as you know, the meaning of doing the movie, taking the sequel, writing the book, doing the how you've raised your children, how you've managed your company. It's all about taking your ego out of the formula and putting in kind of a godlike, I don't mean to sound religious, but it is kind of a godlike spirituality and bringing a lot of values to the enterprise. So I just want to say thank you so much, because it is always inspiring to listen to someone who basically is your teacher. We are each other's teachers. We are always learning from each other. And that's why there are no accidents, right? Everyone comes into your life for a reason and a season. And so I hope our viewers feel that way, having the chance to see you this time. And if they didn't see you last time, I am on YouTube, so or on my website, agelessandtimeless.com. And every podcast that I've ever done, which is now I think about 50 of them, is on that site. So we've run out of time, and I know you will be marching on, and December 11th is coming very soon. I hope that will only be a pause, and that because of the pandemic, but that will then be continued later on. And if so, let me know, because I'd like to add that onto my website. But I will, yes. Yeah. So always let me know anything that's happening, John, because I can always put it there, and it goes on my YouTube channel as well.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you again, and you have a beautiful holiday season, and enjoy your cutting of your beard.
Yes, this will be gone on December 26th.
Okay, well, that will be the Christmas gift for Arlene and me.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you again, John.
Great being here. Thanks, Michelle. Talk to you again.
All right. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye. Well, just a quick close. I think Tony will give me a few more minutes. That I want to remind everybody that this movie, this private showing on December 11th, should be phenomenal. I can't wait to tune in. So that will be something to remember. And certainly, having had the 2 hours now with John, the first time and the second time, I would love to have him on every few months, just to rekindle and to learn new things, because that's the kind of person he is. He's on a journey, and when he includes us, we're on his journey in a vicarious way, and certainly learning from everything that he shares with us. So thank you again for joining us today. Have a beautiful holiday. We are going to have a couple of more podcasts before Christmas, and then we'll take a little break during the Christmas holidays. So thank you again. This is Michelle Hughes, Ageless and Timeless, saying goodbye.
My love for you is immeasurable. My respect for you immense. You're ageless, timeless, lace and fineness, your beauty